back to XIC Studio and we have Zeon with us. Hi Zeon.
Hello, Yaashvie.
So for our listeners who have not met you yet, how would you introduce yourself?
So the first thing that I'd like to say is that I've always been inclined towards music as a child.
Okay.
I've been playing keyboard, piano and guitar. Got into a lot of groups, bands
Okay.
with my friends and especially choir performances. And then eventually I became an audio engineer as well. So right now I work at Xaviers Institute of Communications as their junior audio engineer.
So Zeon, since you are into podcasts, what role do you think podcasts play in the world of music?
You have some podcasts that will talk about music, some that talk about entertainment shows, the others talk about a lot of political beliefs. So I think especially the ones that talk about music enable you to understand the behind the scenes of what happened while the song was getting recorded.
So in a world where podcasts are popping up every hour like cookies on the kitchen countertop, how can the viewers discern good and reliable sources from the potentially harmful ones?
Okay, I like your analogy about podcasts are like cookies on the countertop.
Okay.
The main thing that I would say is when one listens to a podcast, they need to understand, firstly, they know they haven't been forced to listen to that particular podcast, right? It's because they're interested in that particular subject. If I'm interested in a particular song or a particular artist, I'll listen to that podcast specifically. If I'm interested in something like literature that'll help improve my verbal skills, I listen to that particular podcast. Nowadays, it becomes difficult to discern based on the number of views. You tend to have very short podcasts that are there that will gain more views because of our short attention spans. So the issue that I would say right now that we're facing is the reach. How many people are able to get across their point in an efficient number of minutes? That is something that we need to look at. If you look at a broader base of the number of podcasts that have started, say if we look at the years between 2000 and 2010, we had a lot of podcasts that were just interview based. There was nothing really creative about it. It was as if the video was cut out and only the audio section was left. If you come a little ahead to say 2011 to 2020, that is when you started having podcasts that really got entertaining and became like the central part. It became this very new, different approach to ensuring that entertainment reaches the people. It's like how Spotify itself has a separate division for their podcasts, or YouTube for that matter.
I would like to know, how has Beatles inspired you in your musical journey?
I remember as a young kid when I just started playing guitar, we had to kind of search for songs that sound really good and that have chords that are very easy to play. The first one would be Hey Jude, because the chord progression was very, very simple. And I liked that the song could go on and on, just singing like something like na 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 and everything like that. And you keep singing Hey Jude, it never gets old. So even though it's repetitive, it's not something that's boring. That 3-minute song could be stretched to even 6 minutes and everyone would enjoy themselves. The second one I'd say would be I Saw Her Standing There, because the chord progression over there had a shift from a major to its minor, not even the relative minor. The people who are listening in and are not aware about music theory, it's simply a surprise in between where we play one particular chord and then switch to another, but we never expected that second chord to come over. So that was one thing that really stood out for me.
Thanks, Zeon. I'm glad to have you on my show.
I found your questions really interesting. Thank you so much for asking them.
Let's tune into Beatles now. John and Ringo used to live very close together. They would be walking around the garden, having a wonderful time. It was like a nice day, and suddenly the phone would ring and it would be Paul. He would always be the one to say, "Well, should we make another record?" The arrival of the post was an important moment in every day, bringing the Beatles not just records, papers and news, but letters and cards from parents, girlfriends and fans. Whoever woke first would pad across to the club and fetch it. And mid-afternoon on Wednesday 9th May 1962, it was George who made the trip. He returned, clutching a telegram with the most fantastic news of all time. They had got a recording contract. "Congratulations, boys. EMI request recording session. Please rehearse new material. It was a busy day for Telegram boys. As Brian would remember it, he received messages from at least 3 Beatles. George wrote, "Please order 4 new guitars. Please wire £10,000 advance royalties," wrote Paul. "When are we going to be millionaires?" asked John. The session was at Studio Ralstead, a new sound recording facility in the borough of Wansbeck. There were 5 performers, including John, Paul, George. Paul on the bass guitar, John playing rhythm, while George and Paul sang backing vocals. The session's sound was crisp, sharp, and clinically clean. Over to Zeon now, who will play us some top Beatles tracks.
Free as a Bird began as a John Lennon demo from 1977. In 1995, 25 years after the Beatles' breakup and 15 years after Lennon's death, Paul, George, and Ringo finished the song. Paul McCartney confirmed AI was used to isolate Lennon's vocals from the demo, enabling them to create what he called the last Beatles record. John Lennon confirmed that She's So Heavy was about Yoko Ono, stating, "When you're drowning, you don't say, 'I would be incredibly pleased if someone would have foresight to notice me drowning and come and help me.' You just scream." Heavy in the song title refers not to weight, but to Yoko Ono's profound impact on Lennon. John Lennon confirmed that Girl was about his dream girl, who he later identified as Yoko Ono. He specifically asked for the breathing sounds to be very intimate. The heavy breathing in Girl was partly inspired by the Beatles' marijuana use. Lennon wanted to capture the sound of smoking a joint. Cry for a Shadow is an instrumental rock piece recorded by the Beatles on 22nd June 1961. They recorded the song at Friedrich Albert Hall within the Gymnasium Hamburg, West Germany, while they were performing as Tony Sheridan's backing band for a few weeks under the moniker The Beat Brothers. It was written by George Harrison with John Lennon as a pastiche of the Shadows style. The Shadows, who backed Cliff Richards, with the biggest British instrumental rock and roll group at the time of the recording. It is the only Beatles track to be created by Lennon and Harrison alone, and a rare for the Beatles' non-vocal instrumental track. And I Love Her is a ballad recorded by English rock band The Beatles, written primarily by Paul McCartney and created to the Lennon-McCartney partnership. Paul McCartney wrote the song And I Love Her in the music room at Jane Asher's parents' London home, where he was living at the time. Beatles producer George Martin described Revolution 9 as a sound picture, saying, "You could sit in front of those two speakers and actually see things happening if you shut your eyes." John Lennon's Revolution 9 was inspired by tumultuous events of 1968, including the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, the Vietnam War, and widespread protests. Revolver, seventh studio album by the English rock band and Beatles, is one of the greatest and most innovative albums in the history of popular music, with recognition centered on its range of musical styles, diverse sounds, and lyrical content. Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song attempted during the sessions for Revolver. The harmonic structure is derived from Indian music, a genre that Harrison had introduced to the Beatles sound late in 1965 with his sitar part on Norwegian wood, and is based on a high-volume C drone played on a tanpura. George Harrison wrote While My Guitar Gently Weeps after his return from India, while the Beatles had been studying Transcendental Meditation under Maharishi Mahesh Yogi during the spring of 1968. The visit had allowed Harrison to re-engage with the guitar as his primary instrument after focusing on the Indian sitar for the previous 2 years, and also marked the start of a prolific period for him as a songwriter. Inspiration for the song came to him when he was visiting his parents in Warrington, Cheshire, and he began reading the I Ching, or the Book of Changes. As Lennon told Rolling Stone in 1968, "We were trying to write about Liverpool, and I just listed all the nice-sounding names arbitrarily. But I have visions of Strawberry Fields, because Strawberry Fields is just anywhere you want to go." Strawberry Field, Lennon added the S, was a Liverpool children's home where Lennon grew up with his aunt Mimi. When he was young, Lennon, who had been abandoned by both his parents, would climb over the wall of the orphanage and play in its wild gardens. A Day in the Life is the sound of the Beatles on a historic roll. It was a peak, John Lennon told Rolling Stones in 1970, recalling the Sgt. Pepper period. It's also the ultimate Lennon-McCartney collaboration. He said, "Paul and I were definitely working together, especially on A Day in the Life. With Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles created an album of psychedelic visions. Coming at the end, A Day in the Life sounds like a whole world falling apart." Lennon sings about death and dread in his most spectral vocal, treated with what is called his Elvis echo, a voice, as producer George Martin said in 1992, which sends shivers down the spine. Lennon took his lyrical inspiration from the newspapers and his own life.
Thanks, Zeon.
I really enjoyed being part of this podcast. This is Zeon signing off.
And this is Yaashvie signing off.
We're at XIC Mumbai.
Thanks for listening. Do tune in to our next episode.